we go. Unbreakable. So feel the flow.
Thank you, everybody, for having me. I appreciate you taking the time to sit there in those seats and listen to what I have to say. You guys are all here for a slightly different reason, but all of you want to scale your business and make more money, right? Do you want to scale your business and make more money? Okay. So on my flight here, right before I boarded the flight, I got a message from my buddy Nima. Nima's a pretty cool guy, and he runs a bone broth company, mainly scaling on like Meta and TikTok. And he sent me a text message that's like very similar to like a lot of the messages I get every single day. And he's like, "Yo, dude, what ads are gonna make me rich?" And I was like, "Man, you've got like absolutely perfect timing. I've got like this like presentation I'm finalizing. I'm gonna send you the link." And I told him what I'm gonna tell you today, and it's that there's absolutely no silver bullet for making ads work for your business in terms of like the creative, right? And so everything I'm about to show you today is a fuck ton of work, like full stop. And I don't have a private jet to get you from point A to point B. So for wherever you are right now, for wherever you want to actually get to, as much as I would love to get up on stage right now and give you a private jet, be like, all you have to do is this, this, and this, and you're going to be winning, I don't have that for you. But what I do have for you is I can give you a map. And the map looks a little bit something like this. As you can see, there's a big pile of gold waiting for you at the end. And I call this my mythical creative journey to riches. And what's really cool about this map is that for everybody in this audience right now, the map is the exact same. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter how big your business is or anything like that. The map and what you need to do to be successful is the exact same. The only difference is if you're just getting started out, you're going to need to walk this map, and it might take a little bit of time. If you already have a little bit of traction, things are working for you, and you're just looking to scale, you might be able to have a bike, and you'll be able to get through this a little bit quicker. And if you're already crushing it, and you're just looking to scale with TikTok and absolutely blow up your brand or your offer or whatever it is, you're going to have a car, and you'll be able to blow through this and get like a lot more efficiency out of what you're doing on TikTok right now. And so I'm incredibly lucky. Every Monday, all I do is talk to customers of our software company, and it's like my favorite day of the week. And like these are customers like Magic Spoon, True Classic Teas, Cirque du Soleil, Jones Road Beauty, Athletic Greens, Kettle and Fire, and so on and so forth. And what I've really noticed over like the last 6 months of doing this every single Monday is that all of these brands that are crushing it have one thing in common. Are you guys ready to know the one thing they have in common? They all took my course. I'm just kidding. I have absolutely no course. I have nothing to sell you. But the thing that they have in common is that they're following this map or something pretty similar to it. And there are absolutely no shortcuts. I've yet to talk to one of these brands that are crushing it and scaling aggressively on TikTok, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we found this like one little cool scaling hack, and it's like making us a bunch of money." There absolutely are no shortcuts to making this work at scale. And so here we are, crushing creative burnout, the $1 million TikTok blueprint for systemized creative testing and scaling that will 4x your ROAS. Yeah, that's the presentation. And so just a little bit about me. So I started my career as like a creative director, doing a lot of commercial work for like brands like Subway and like all these gambling companies. We were doing a lot of TV advertising. And then we got into a lot of animated advertising and things like that. And I was always just a creative at heart. And I was running an agency then called Vanquish Media. I then met this guy that was running Facebook ads, and it absolutely blew my mind. I thought it was the most magical thing in the entire world. And so I built a brand called Nomadic Fabrics around 2019, back when Facebook was this little machine where you could put $1 in and take like $4 out. That was awesome. But I fell out of love with this business pretty quickly, and we sold it in 2021. I was then the head of product design at Triple Whale for around 2 years, and at the same time started building Foreplay, and now that's taking up all of my time now. And so Foreplay is a creative strategy workflow platform. What we say is we like to operationalize creativity amongst your performance organizations and help you scale creative with tools and systems and things like that to help you. And so now that we know each other, I need to come clean about something. And this is like incredibly awkward standing in front of a bunch of people that I don't know. But the title of this entire talk is a lie. I don't believe in creative burnout as a concept. I think if what you're doing, if like TikTok ads isn't working for you right now, and what you're doing is being like, "Oh, our creatives are burning out," you're thinking about it completely wrong. The problem actually doesn't exist on the asset. The problem is like actually in the back end. And so what I like to think and just like reframe this problem, it's like you actually have creative blockage in your organization. Whether you're working with an agency or you're creating all your creatives in-house, if what you're doing is suffering creative burnout, the problem isn't the asset suffering creative burnout. It's that you just aren't filling the funnel with what you need to be successful. And so the way it works, right, like you have spend kind of up here, and you're trying to scale it, and obviously that spend goes to different places. And so what happens is like if those messages or those hooks and things like that aren't resonating with a super broad audience, that spend essentially has nowhere to go and it just starts falling out, and then you're burning cash, right? And so the whole idea in terms of, I think, being successful on these platforms today is just giving this funnel endless areas in which it can spend money efficiently, and only like a single creative can only scale so large. And this is like a horrible place to be, right? Like if you're like, I have all this money and I want to spend it, but I can't spend it efficiently, yeah, that like absolutely sucks. It means that you can't accurately and reliably turn capital into growth, which is like the main objective of any business, right? And so if you can't do this, you're barely running a business. And I don't want that for you, and that's why I'm standing right here. So although I can't give you a silver bullet and I can't give you a private jet, I am going to show you how the Essence Vault went from 0 to 10K a day on TikTok. At the Essence Vault, they're a really cool brand. They sell perfumes and colognes that smell like luxury perfumes and colognes. And they scaled like aggressively on TikTok profitably, which meant for them in a year, 93% growth year over year, not from 0. They're now in like the multi-8-figure range, and the blended ROAS across their accounts is 4x. And I've watched this happen both from the agency that they work with as well as internally with the founder, and it's been like an amazing thing to watch, and so I'm excited to show you what they're doing. And then one other thing, so I have 3 free gifts for everybody in the audience today, and so just stick around to the end of this talk, and I have 3 free gifts that are going to absolutely save you a ton of time and help you do everything that the Essence Vault is doing. And so when I was producing this talk, I didn't know I was going to do it with the Essence Vault, and so I started working on this, and I was talking to all my friends, and I was talking to my buddy named Ollie, and so Ollie, he owns an agency called Soar With Us, based out of the UK. And he's also the CMO at the Essence Vault as well. And I was like telling him like, oh, this is the talk, blah blah blah. And he's just like, Zach, I need to tell you, show you what we're doing with the Essence Vault. Like it's insane. Like I had heard some rumblings, but when he actually showed me behind the scenes, I was just like, wow, this is like insane. And so as I said, the high level metrics are there. But what was really interesting behind the scenes, it's like they're testing 150 unique TikTok creatives per week. Which I was just like, wow. Like again, I got talked to a lot of brands, and that was like a number that I was like very much taken back by. But that was what was leading to their scale, right? And when he showed me, he was using this map. So I'm like, perfect, done and dusted, Ollie. We'll use the Essence Vault. We'll use you guys as the case study. And I went like super, super deep in terms of like what their process was, and then pulled a bunch of additional data points from other brands that we work with. And so this map actually has 4 crucial phases. They're kind of scattered about, and it starts with competitor and customer research. This is actually what I like to call the foreplay, hence the name of our business. And so in the customer and competitor research area, you have two segments that are pretty important. One, you have your competitor research, like figuring out what your competitors are doing, using their ad dollars and their spend, and then reverse engineering it and learning for yourself. And then you have your customer mining. This is how you're like reliably over a period of time learning from the people who are actually giving you their money to make your advertising more efficient. And so on the competitor research, this is kind of what their process looks like. Foreplay, we have a swipe file tool that lets you save ads from all around the internet. With a Chrome extension, we have a mobile app that you can just like swipe up, save ads to boards. It's kind of like Pinterest, but for ads only. And so they have a creative department that's kind of just like always out looking on Facebook ad library, saving ads to boards, and creating mood boards for their upcoming assets that they're sending out to creators. And then we also have another product called Spider. Spider's really cool. It allows you to track every single ad that a competitor launches, track how long it ran for, and we also give you, essentially it creates an entire timeline of every ad your competitors ran, when they get turned off, when they get turned on. what landing pages are driving most traffic to. And so they use these two pieces to just keep an eye on their competitors from a visual, creative point of view, but also like messaging on Spider, what's working for them, what are they turning off, what are they turning back on. And then you have the customer mining piece, right? And so what I really like to think about here is just like, we all have ideas about why our products are working or why people are purchasing our products. The people you should 100% be like learning from the most are the people taking out their credit card and giving you their money, right? And so there's two sort of sections of customer data mining. One is your product insights, and so these are your value propositions, your unrealized competitors, unique benefits, usage patterns, unique features, and brand alignment. One piece here that I wanted to just like have like a little bookmark in, unrealized competitors is one of the most like, I've seen the craziest unlocks with brands, and what an unrealized competitor is a way that someone's solving your solution in a way that like, it's not another Shopify store, it's not another gadget. It's like, this person had a problem, they were solving it in a way that you had no idea. If you can figure that out, like those are ads that hit. It's like, are you tired of doing X, Y, Z? Like, there's this business, look for unrealized competitors about how people are solving their problems without any product. And then you have your customer insights. These are like the emotional triggers and understanding about the people that are buying your product. And so these are your pain points, pre-purchase aha moments, misconceptions, objections, desired outcomes, and failed solutions. If you can get all of this information, you're going to be writing better copy, you're going to be making better ads. But it's a ton of work. And so essentially, like, how do you actually extract all of this data in like a meaningful way? That doesn't mean that you need like a team of researchers out talking to every single customer, reading every message board and things like that. One, download a CSV. So one place you want to look for is all of your own customer reviews, all of your Facebook ad comments, all of your TikTok ad comments. If you have a community or something like that, scrape that. As well as if you can do that for your competitors and scrape all of their reviews, it's just like more data that you can kind of fill into this machine. Upload it to a capable AI tool, either ChatGPT or Bard is what I use, and then use a detailed prompt to analyze and present all of this information that we require to get this sort of matrix of data from our customers and understand how we can sell our products better. At the end, when you kind of like run through this entire process, it looks like this. You have your customer review or whatever the input data source is, and then it's pulling out and analyzing the text from your customers' mouths, and then giving you like failed solutions, objections, common themes. And the one that I really, really like is here on the end is the golden nugget. So in our prompt, we kind of like specify what the golden nugget is. Honestly, like most of these other columns are kind of bullshit. I always just scroll over the golden nugget, and like that's actually what I'm using in ad copy and things like that. And this is actually your first free gift at the end of the presentation. It's going to be the mining ChatGPT prompt. I actually combined like what I use and then what the Essence Vault uses, and I think it's now like a mega prompt. And so I'm super stoked to get you guys this at the end of the talk. And so now that you have this spreadsheet full of text from your customers or insights or whatever it is, how do you actually turn it into ads that you can start running and making money from, right? And so this is where we go into phase 2, cultivating creative thinking. And this is exactly where I'm losing a bunch of you. You're probably thinking like, that sounds like some bullshit, big agency jargon. TikToks are just UGC. We don't need like creative thinking to like sell all this shit online. But I want to take a step back and turn some of this like jargon into like very specific action for you. Creativity is like very simple. In its simplest form, it's connecting one idea or data point to another. It's like, that's a new creative idea. That's like the MVP of creative idea is this. Creative genius is connecting a whole bunch, right? So you see this in product design. It's like, wow, this product solves like all these different problems. Or you can use it while you're backpacking, but you can also use it when you're going to a luxury restaurant. Like those are like creative genius ideas, right? And lucky for you, since you did phase 1, you have a bunch of these data points to start connecting to create great creativity, like creative focused messaging. And there's endless combinations. And so this step is like connecting a value proposition to a pain point, unique features to pre-purchase aha moments, failed solutions to objections, desired outcomes to misconceptions, and this is the foundation of direct response marketing, right, guys? Like, this is exactly what we're all doing, but it's boring. We've all seen those TikTok ads where it's just like, you're like sitting through it, and you're like, you kind of want to watch it because you're doing like maybe some like competitor research, and you're like, okay, here's the problem, here's the solution, like, and you know what they're going to say next before they even say it. That's a shit advertisement. And so I want to introduce you to this idea that I've kind of started to formulate, and it's the idea of like 5 levels crazier. And so I obsess about like product design. I read all these like books about product design and things like that. And there was this idea that I came across of like 5 levels deeper that product designers really love. And so it's like you have the main problem that your product solves, and like you understand that really, really well. How you can create an exceptional product is figure out, okay, like what's level 2 deeper of this like very surface level thing that we're solving. And then once you get to 5, is where you like really start to unlock new ideas. I've kind of like repositioned it for advertising as like 5 levels crazier, but we do this in our team when we're working with customers, but also just like internally. I think it's like a really good framework to come up with like unique shit in your business. And so this is just the easiest way to transform one of these creative ideas into 5 unique and memorable, high converting creatives. And so this is how you actually do it. It's like a very simple question. I like to do this as a group. And so once you have this idea or a script that you might have, you ask a simple question. What would this hook, visual, story, or call to action look like if it was 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times crazier? I'm telling you, if you do this, you're going to come up with ideas that you never would have come up with before. If you go to your team and you say, hey guys, we need 5 new ads, they're going to be like sitting there writing some shit. They're going to be like, oh, like coming up with this new idea or some like horrible story. But if you reverse engineer it and go, okay, here's the pain point, here's the objection, this is our storyline. At the end of the day, like when you, in its simplest form, it's selling the customer in like direct response principles. But to create something that stands out on TikTok or any of these other platforms, take that very mundane idea and just sit down and say, what would this idea look like if it was 3 times crazier? I'm telling you, this is the way to formulate advertising and ideas and creatives that absolutely stand out, and you can do this forever and ever and ever. And as I said, the results of doing this collaboratively is outstanding, and I really believe that creative and crazy thinking is how you achieve outstanding outcomes. And so now that we have like a very good foundation laid, right? Like we're learning from our customers, we're formulating these really compelling hooks and ideas, we're turning them into amazing advertisements that no one else has come up with before, is where we have to start sharpening our sword. Like we've kind of honed a blade, we're like starting to chop down a tree, but it's time to sharpen it. And that's where reporting and insights comes in. And so like super high level, like Tev actually keeps this like very simple. They do bi-weekly reporting. This is what they're keeping track of. Creative name, creative type, asset length, the offer, click-through rate, thumb stop rate, average watch time, and conversion rate. You can use platforms like Motion or Tripwire to pull this data in a more organized way, or you can just do it in a spreadsheet. And what I really want to kind of focus on with creative reporting, and the way I think you guys can get more out of the time that you spend doing this, is to not get lost in the sauce. If you think about like your data on a bell curve, there's a lot of information in the middle that means nothing. Like lukewarm insights, it's an absolute waste of your time. And so when you're looking at your data, focus on your worst performers and focus on your top performing ads and learn from those two. I honestly believe that everything else is a waste of time. You're kind of just going in a circle. Like a lukewarm ad inherently is just going to be like contradictory to like everything on the worst and everything on the bad. So learn what you shouldn't do and learn what you really should do. And so now that we know where we suck or maybe where we're absolutely crushing it, what do we do with like some of this data? And this is where I like to kind of talk about batching your learnings and creating a macro insight database. One idea that I don't think a lot of performance marketers think about often is thinking about their business kind of like a piggy bank where they can make small investments in. Like if you have a learning, don't let it just like fly away. Like make sure you're crystallizing it in a way that a new hire in the future can learn from. Otherwise, you just like wasted that spend. And so I like to like take all of this information that we're getting from the platforms and then organize it into top performers, underperformers, winning creative types, promising concepts, and successful angles and hooks. The way that the Tev actually does this, they use our product. It's kind of an off-label use, but this is how they do it. They're creating a folder based on their learnings. They're creating boards for each one of those buckets I just mentioned. And then each one of those sits in a board that's like an easily shareable link. And so this means that as you're spending money on these ads, right? And let's just say you have a huge database of like stuff that really didn't work for you. It means when you bring on a new agency or bring on a new creator, you have like a ton of content that you can send to them, be like, do nothing like this, right? And so it's just these small micro improvements that make it make the likelihood a little bit higher that what you get back from a creator, what you get back from a video editor might hit. And then just talking about like benchmarks in terms of data, I know a lot of people like, what should I be aiming for on TikTok? Is it the same as Meta? This is just what Tev does. So they're trying to hit a thumbs up rate of over 30%, a click-through rate of anything over 0.8 to 1%, and a hold rate of around 8 to 10%, and that's on TikTok alone. It's gonna be incredibly malleable for like whatever your business is. It's gonna change, but this might give you kind of a baseline to go off of if you haven't started spending yet. And so what do you do if you're not hitting these benchmarks, right? We've all been there where like you start spending money, you're like, it's not working. A lot of people quit there. I don't think that's a good spot to quit. And so I think that the most important metric in terms of measuring creative is click-through rate. At the end of the day, if we like simplify it, why are we putting this ad in front of somebody? It's to get them onto our website to buy our thing. And so I think it's like a really great precursor to understanding what's working. And so this is like a quick checklist of what I would do to increase click-through rate, which I think is the most important. 1, add text overlay throughout the entire creative to retain attention. 2, try cutting every 1 to 2 seconds to improve pacing. 3, add more scenes and locations throughout your video. Cut the creative down into to get to the call to action quicker, and then also add a call to action earlier in the video. Like that's actually my favorite one, is having multiple call to actions throughout the video. And if you've done all these things and it still sucks, like just move on to a new concept. Do the 5 times crazier idea and start making new ads. And that's actually your second free gift is the iteration checklist. So that was like a little preview of it. But we have a massive Notion database of like, if my thumbs top rate sucks, what should I do? We have a massive checklist organized by metric and what you could try and maybe just send to a video editor and be like, oh, we have something that's like very close. You could use this to sort of iterate it in a way that you might get a winner. And so now we're getting to the point where, okay, what's phase 4 of this, right? Like we're getting really close to unlocking this pile of gold. And this is where it gets awkward again. I've told you another lie this entire time. The map that I had showed you is absolutely wrong. Well, I guess it's not wrong. The steps are 100% what you should be doing, but this destination does not exist. And if you think it exists, you're going to fail. The whole process looks a lot like this, and phase 4 is to never stop doing this. At the end of the day, no matter what you're selling, your product's going to evolve, your market's going to evolve, and you're going to be burning out on certain messaging, and you should forever be looking for new pockets of people to sell your product to. And so in the way that I was saying with all these brands that I talked to, and they're going through this map, what's really important here is that they've built this as a core function of their business. When I was building my e-commerce brand, it was like, we got the most efficiency not actually from making ads. Like this is back in like 2018, 2019. We would like find a new media buying tactic that would just like scale us. And we were just like, this is amazing. Like the ads don't even matter. That does not exist anymore. I think that as these ad platforms become a little black box where you just toss money into, the ad creative is the only thing that you're gonna have sort of control over. And so all of these like amazing brands that are scaling very fast, including Tev and all of the brands that Store With Us work with, they built this as a core function of their business, is how do we learn from our customers? How do we create compelling messaging? How do we test new ads and learn from them? And then start all over again and have it as a cycle that just runs inside of your business. And we call this the infinite iteration conversion loop, which is a mouthful. And so the one thing I didn't lie about with you today is that everything I show you is a fuck ton of work, but the last piece is that it never ends. And so I really just want you guys to commit to being like, I'm gonna turn whatever it is you're selling, whatever is the structure of your business, turn it into a creative generating machine, and I guarantee you that's gonna mean more like money down the road. And so that's what the Essence Vault's doing, along with all these other brands that I talk to every single day. And there's one more thing before I get off stage or before we go into Q&A, and that's your third free gift, which is 2 months free of our software. Every feature we have, unlimited access, everything like that. And so everything you get today is the mining ChatGPT prompt to learn from your customers, learn about your product and sell them better. The iteration checklist to figure out how to turn some of these dog ads that might be like failing or things that might be really close into winners. And then Foreplay to help you centralize all these insights so that you can create an evolving creative organization that learns from itself and produces high-performing ads consistently at scale. And all you need to do is scan this QR code. I'll be around for the rest of today. We have Q&A as well, but would love to connect with any of you as well. Thank you.
Watch me go.